Paltrow. Thank you, Gwyneth. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm so excited that we're talking today.
Me too.
Yeah, this is amazing. So, so first of all, you're doing a lot these days. I mean, because you are an Academy Award winner, you're an actress, but you are a full-time entrepreneur as well. Maybe
right
you
now.
could tell me about Goop and what you're doing.
Sure. I founded it in 2008.
Yeah.
Primarily as just kind of a homespun blog from
Right.
my kitchen. It was really, at the inception, it was just to kind of aggregate information. And basically, I had been the person for my friends who, you know, because I've been doing movies and traveling a lot, and they would say, like, I'm going to Toronto, where should I eat dinner? I know you just did a movie there, and I always cooked a lot, so how do I roast a chicken and stuff like that. So originally it was just gonna be for my friends. And then I kind of opened it up to the wider world, and it's only recently that I started to monetize it and create an actual business.
And so you've been traveling a lot. Like back 2008, 2007, 2009, you were traveling a lot.
Yeah.
Tell us about the traveling you used to do that inspired all this.
I mean, you know, I had this incredibly fortunate job where I was getting sent all over the country and all over the world to live and do movies. And the incredible thing is when you're doing a movie, you're not somewhere for a long weekend. You're there for weeks and weeks and weeks. So
how long are you typically at in a city for if you're filming?
It'll depend, you know, but 3 months, 4 months. I mean, I lived in Paris.
You basically live there when you...
You live there. For example, I did a film when I was 21 in Paris, and I lived there for 4 months and tried to learn the language. And the great thing about that, too, is that you're surrounded by a movie crew, and that's where I would get all my information. So I would never ask this is pre-internet. Yeah. Because I could basically be your mother.
Oh, not that.
I mean, I hope you're still attracted to me.
We will... We can talk after this. We've agreed on that.
But so essentially, I would, you know, I wouldn't ask the hotel concierge, you know, where should I have pizza? I would ask the truck drivers, or I'd ask the makeup artists, like, where do you shop? Where are the boutiques?
And where do the truck drivers shop? So you'd ask people like where they shop, and basically you wouldn't ask the concierge, you'd ask the people that live there.
Because I, as a traveler, was getting really bad information from the concierge. It was always like a kickback or something, and I started to feel resentful. Like, you know, there are people who are like, we're saving our money to travel and go somewhere nice, and we're getting terrible information. And so I thought, you know, I want to figure out a way to change this and offer better information to people.
So you started, when did this start? It started as a blog?
It started as a blog.
Or was it email?
It was an email. It was a once-a-week email.
A once-a-week email. And what is some of the information that is in this?
In the original?
Yeah.
I mean, it was so, like, almost... You know, it's like embarrassing now when I look back at it, but it, you know, it would be like a recipe, or it was not a lot of content, but it was very heartfelt, you know? Yeah.
And so you started a company, and what was the transition like going from a, you know, what was the transition going from a huge Hollywood actress, huge star to entrepreneur? You know, I had my own transition from a huge star to entrepreneurship. what was yours like?
It was tough. You know, people really don't take you seriously for a long time, and you know, until you really understand, and you know, and fair enough, because to be honest, I had this idea and I started it. I had no idea what I was doing, and it took me years to understand even like the very basics of e-commerce, a media business. I mean, it took a long, long time, and that's the weird thing, is because now, you know, I have the creative piece because I run all the creative of the company. I'm also the face, but I'm also responsible for the P&L, and I'm responsible to my board, and I have to go raise money.
And I found the first time I was doing this, didn't seem like there were a lot of books to do it, and I ended up meeting people and having mentors. How did you learn? Did you kind of seek mentors? Did you just kind of learn by trial and error?
A lot of trial and error, a lot of epic mistakes.
What were some epic mistakes you made?
You know, just like, there are 1,000. I mean, like, for example, not understanding the importance of doing your own due diligence, whether it's on hiring someone. I'd be like, oh, everybody, you know, they seem great, well, fine. Like, you know, you might want to check, or, switching email service providers, like what might this entail? And like I had a huge problem recently when I did that because I just didn't do the research and I didn't know. Now I know.
Right.
And yeah, I have a lot of mentors. I mean, you're one of them. He's so awesome. I basically called him and was like, can I talk to you? I don't know. And he said yes.
Yes.
And
I wasn't going to say no.
And so I've tried to aggregate, like, because you guys all know more than me, and so I've
You'd be surprised. We don't really. And so tell us a little bit about Goop today. So you have a bunch of things. You have a new app.
Yes.
What's this app called?
The app is, well, I just rebranded the app. Basically what happened was we had this travel app that was one of the first things I did. It was a Goop City guide, amazing content, no CMS whatsoever. So I had to like manually change something in an Excel spreadsheet, send it to Poland, pray the developer would like remove something that had closed 6 weeks ago. It was very early that I rebuilt it. And because the travel content is like our most unisex content, men love it and use it all the time, I kind of wanted it to, have its own brand. So it launched yesterday. It's called G-Spotting. And and it's fucking amazing.
Tell me about G-Spotting. So how can people find that? No, that's not. So that's a bad way to. I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way. How do people discover the app? Where do they? I don't know how to say this. Where is the app? How do they search for the app?
We really are going to need some private time after
I know.
It's on the App Store.
Okay.
And you just search G-Spotting.
Okay.
Probably Goop will still, Goop City guys will probably kick you to it. And we just, we are obsessed with travel and providing the best information.
Right.
So whether it's the best pizza or falafel or, 8-course dinner or, like a cool hotel or whatever. So we obsessively research. We try personally as much as we can, the team.
And so maybe bring to life like one of the trips or cities or something in the app that you're really excited about. Is there like a itinerary you're really excited about?
One of the things we've done, which I think, there's like a geolocation feature and then it's by neighborhood, but something that I also really love that we did is we sort of categorized it, because my mom, for example, when she asks me, where should I go when I, is much different than my millennial friends.
Right.
So we kind of did them.
Am I a millennial friend?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope so.
Yes.
So we kind of have them, in a lot of the cities we have them by like a sort of classics guide, a hipster guide, a kids guide. So we make it really easy and we categorize the content in a really digestible way.
Right. And so you have, what are some of the cities you have these in?
We have LA, New York, Paris, London, Barcelona, Madrid, Nashville, Detroit, Chicago,
too.
New Orleans.
Is there a city you're really excited about?
I'm excited about all the cities.
All the cities?
I love this. I love all. I mean, I always find something in a city that I love the process of discovery and delight and engaging in a community, and that's why I love travel.
Do you have any favorite picks here in downtown LA? Could we have a lot of hosts here?
Oh gosh, yeah. Sorry. I mean, downtown LA is incredible, and as you know, is completely, experiencing a major renaissance. There's a spa near here called The Springs that I really love.
Nice.
There's
you have a customer?
A restaurant called Bar Ama. It's amazing Tex-Mex. They have a queso that will just kill you.
All right. It wouldn't actually kill you, though.
No, in a good way.
Good way.
And then you have the Broad, which is one of my favorite places on earth. Which is it's really a jewel that they added to the city, Eli Broad and his wife.
What is the Broad for people here that are visiting?
Yeah, the Broad is a contemporary art museum.
Right.
And essentially, this couple, the Broads, they built it, and it's from an architectural standpoint, it's amazing.
Right.
And it's used to house their contemporary art collection. And I think he was very involved in the arts, and so involved in other contemporary art museums, and he was tired of all the politics and raising money. So anyone can go for free forever. He endowed it forever. It's such a beautiful gift that they've given us, and the art in there is just so stunning and inspiring. I go all the time.
Wow, wow. And so you travel, you have a family, and you travel with kids. And
Yes.
do you have any advice for people traveling with family? Because obviously that's very different than traveling with...
Yes, definitely. Xanax, alcohol. No, my kids actually, they're great travelers. They've been on a plane, you know, since they were tiny, and they love to travel. I love taking them with me because I love seeing things through their eyes. Right. And even if it's, you know, if we're going to New York City where I grew up and I've been a million times, you know, they'll see things and discover things, and then it's just so lovely to, you know, be with a 10 and a 12-year-old who are aware and really tuned in and excited about food and, you know, paintings and neat things in parks, and I just have such a good time with it.
Is there a place you want to travel to you haven't been to before, like a specific place you have in mind?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we lived in London for a long time, and so it's such an incredible place to live, just intrinsically, but also because you're so close to the rest of the world. So we went, you know, we've been to the Middle East and Sri Lanka and India and Asia, but there are a lot of, like, I've never been to Vietnam or Laos or Cambodia, Bhutan. I would love to explore that area.
So are you now spending... you're spending almost all of your time on Goop. Are you still acting, or are you now primarily focused on being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Right now, I'm really 100% of my time is on Goop. I'm gonna do like a week on a movie next year. But it's, you know, I have a real responsibility to my team. You know, we're almost 60 now.
60 people?
Yeah, and my investors, and I really, you know, want to make a proper go of it. So.
And what would a proper go of it be for you? Like, what do you think it could become?
Like
or
to
what?
have like 1/100th of your valuation.
Well, we can keep talking. That's a good goal. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Had to get at. I wasn't prepared for that question. And so you have so you have this new app.
Yes.
You also have the Goop core product, and you're actually making your own products now.
Yeah, we do.
So you have a skincare line.
Yes.
And you have a clothing line.
Yep.
And you just had a perfume line. You launched or fragrance.
Fragrance we launched, I think, last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
So what else are you guys gonna make, and why did you decide to make your own products?
You know, it really came from, for example, with the skincare, the fact that, you know, my mother is a major environmental activist, and so I grew up with everything organic in the house, and her explaining why, and her protesting nuclear power plants, and then deciding nuclear power plants were okay, but oil was bad, you know, so. And she was very focused on health, and I think that was sort of how I caught the bug. And then when my father was diagnosed with cancer when I was about 25, and I got obsessed with learning about, you know, environmental toxins and why so many people in our generation now are getting cancer, and, you know, like 1 in 2 men, and then the more research that I did about personal care products and home products and pesticides and all of that, the more I saw the link to cancer and other problems, health problems that we're having. And so it's just been sort of, that's why I've always been so interested in wellness and kind of building the platform on a bit of a wellness ethos. And so for the skincare, you know, and I'm also like a vain aging actress, so I wanted products that really had amazing efficacy, but also were non-toxic. And you would really be surprised what is allowed to be in our personal care products. So I set about creating...
What is allowed to be in personal care?
I mean, known carcinogens, endocrine disruptors, plastic, really bad things.
So we were putting plastic on our body?
Yes, and absorbing, because transdermal absorption is like 70%, 60 or 70%. Oh, so, so I worked really, really hard with Juice Beauty, which is a organic beauty company in San Francisco, and we formed a JV, and we created these products.
A joint venture, and so you started to come with them.
Yes, and we made these beautiful products that I love so much, and they work so well. And then they really resonated with people, and you know, on the business side, obviously the margins are better when you're making something yourself. And but our margins aren't crazy because we want to deliver. Like, I was also interested in, is there a way to take the direct-to-consumer model, which is, you know, usually very mass, and make it slightly more aspirational, but sort of make it attainable. And so we started with skincare, and I'm so proud of it, and it's such a great product. And then it was sort of the same with.
Is it one product or a line of products?
There's 6 products.
6 products.
We started with, yeah. So now we're and in the fashion, it's sort of the same thing. Like, is it possible to have something really beautifully made in Italy and tailored beautifully that's not, you know, a $2,800 blazer or something really.
So you want to bring like the kind of couture style, like the handmade, to people that, you know, weren't, you know, and not at not complete luxury prices.
Right. And so, you know, so that's kind of the idea as we go forward. And
so what's next? What's next from a product perspective? You're going to keep adding more product lines?
Yeah. So we really now we're hard at work on wellness and.
So what are some things in wellness other than skincare?
I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll have to have you back to learn more about that. And about travel, your G-Spotting is going to be like the kind of place. What's next for that app?
You know, I would love to integrate some kind of social component so that, because there's so many people who really want to make every choice count when they travel, and they have amazing taste, and I would love to have their voices incorporated too. So I would love to add that layer. So
has anything surprised you about being an entrepreneur? Like before you came in, you decided to throw yourself all in. Anything surprised you about this experience?
I mean, so many things surprised me. I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea how much I didn't know and how much there was to learn. I had no idea how much, like, I was in a career where everyone kissed my ass, and now people are like, well, fuck you, like, what's the bottom line? You know? Like, oh. You know, now I'm like on JetBlue. I'm like, what the fuck did I do here? But honestly, I've never felt so professionally fulfilled in my life, and it's such a grind and it's such hard work, but it's so amazing to be building something that you believe in and making product that you love and putting it into the world and getting feedback, positive and negative, and sorting through it. I much prefer it, and even though no one kisses my ass anymore.
And is any big lessons you've learned, or any piece of advice you give to somebody who wants to do what you've done and start a company?
First of all, I think it's such an exciting time to be an American, because we are at this amazing inflection point and everything is kind of up in the air, and it's such an amazing time for entrepreneurship, and I think it's kind of going to be up to us in the next 50 years to create our own jobs, and that's why I love that entrepreneurial spirit that you see so much. That's so intrinsic to who we are as Americans, and other countries too, of course. But you know, for me, I took a crazy risk. You know, I really did have a perfectly good day job, and it
was really going well.
It was going great.
Were you nervous? Like, were you really like scared to jump in, or what were you feeling? Like,
I was scared, but I had self-belief, and that's what I think, you know, ultimately, because people knock you down all the time, and they poke holes, and they don't like this about your business model, and they don't believe in you, and you know, you just have to keep getting back up and getting back up and getting back up. And I think what got me through was this: I've never let go of my vision. It's like I just see a bullseye, and it might be really, really far away, but I'm like going straight for it and doing the best I can. But in the meantime, you know, I'm building a really interesting business.
And so you spoke for a moment about an inflection point we're at as a country. How would you describe in your mind what that inflection point is?
I just think that people are clearly tired of the status quo, and I don't think we all understand exactly what that means, and I think that it's just, I mean, to me, it's sort of like, it really is, you know, it's like someone just threw it all up in the air, and we're going to see how it all lands. So I think, you know, it's very important for me personally now more than ever to create community and to remember the humanity in everybody, and to create love, forgiveness, and understanding, and also, you know, to understand that we are thinking in such different ways. And that was the most amazing thing to me about this election, is that I felt like, wow, I don't understand the opposition well enough at all. And I'm not going to tell you what side I'm on. But
I won't guess.
But it really, you know, my big takeaway was, I really need to open my mind. I need to understand better, because I don't.
Right. And I think one of the things you did say is entrepreneurship, I think, is a really great opportunity, because one of the great things we can do is create your own job and maybe create jobs for other people. You've created 60 jobs, and I think there's probably a lot of people in the audience thinking about starting something, and there's not a lot of books around it, but one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is the number one trait that I've seen that makes people succeed is probably perseverance.
Absolutely.
I think there's this notion that I don't have a good idea. I think the number one reason people say they don't start a business, they don't have a good idea, or it's not the right time. I generally find that every year the time gets worse than the time, like it's always like, it never gets better to start a company.
Right.
The idea often changes. You know, our idea, we had an idea, we were gonna rent 3 air mattresses in a living room. So that wasn't that big of an idea. And I'm sure many people have bigger ideas than that. And so our ideas change many times, and it's really not about one idea, it's about thousands of ideas. And one of the things you've done, and I think any entrepreneur has done, is you talked about like just having like a North Star. Right. Always seeing that, always going. And I find that when perseverance, one thing that I think perseverance comes from is it's like you see a destination, and that destination is so clear that any noise around you, any setback around you, it's like a detour, but you know where you're trying to end up. Right. If you know where you're trying to end up, I find that you can usually get to your destination. It might take you longer than you ever thought, but you'll probably get to that destination. And if you don't have a clear like end goal, North Star, it's very easy to get kind of detoured and be kind of confused along the way. Right. And so it seems like you guys have a very clear goal of where this can go. I have a really clear vision in my head, and that's not to say that I don't pivot on certain things or say, oh, this vertical's working better than that, but like the overall thing, I'm very clear on. Yeah. What was the reaction when you decided to do this from like people close to you, and like were people like incredibly supportive? Did they think you were a little crazy? I think people were pretty perplexed. Yeah. You know, I was probably one of the first people to make a pivot like that, and I think people were confounded by it. And did they ask you any weird questions? Were they kind of like? I think it was just a general. Like, what is going on? Yeah. Yeah. When Joni and I started Airbnb, I remember my mom. I think she's in the audience somewhere. Oh, there she is.
Oh,
and so,
hi. How are you?
So my situation was like, you know, we started this company together, but my parents were social workers growing up. My mom told me, like, I chose a job for the love. I didn't make a lot of money, so you should choose a job to make a lot of money. And so one day I told her I want to be an artist. And she said, well, you chose the one job that will succeed in paying less than a social worker. You'll get paid nothing. Congratulations. And she said, if you do go to art school, promise me you get a job of health insurance. So I actually moved out after college to here in LA. I got a job of health insurance. I had it for like a year and a half. Then I quit that job. I came one day, and we talked at the starting of Airbnb. I came, and Joe said, Brian, let's start a company. I come to San Francisco. You know, I didn't have any money, or I had only $1,000 at the bank. We had this design conference come to San Francisco. All the hotels are sold out. And then we had this idea, let's just inflate some airbeds and create an airbed and breakfast. Well, when I told my mom about that, she said, well, I guess you don't have that job of health insurance anymore, do you? And I said, no, because I'm an entrepreneur. And she said, actually, you're unemployed. And I said, no, I'm an entrepreneur. And that was the moment I realized that it's hard to be an entrepreneur. It's lonely. And now she says, I have $1 billion vagina. She's not shy anymore. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh, geez. I need a moment. I need a drink. It's not water. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've run out of questions. Okay. So how are you doing? Anything else? So you have any trips coming up? I gotta see where I can take this.
No, I don't think I have any trip. No, not really.
What are you doing for the holidays?
Just cooking Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, and we may go to New York City for actual Christmas. See my mom.
Actual Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you usually travel for the holidays?
Sometimes. It depends on the year.
You go exotic places, warm, cold?
Well, it depends. I mean, right now I have so much work, and my kids also have annoyingly different weeks of holidays.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to actually, right at this moment, not get on a plane.
Yeah, there you go.
And just sort of chill and be home.
Yeah.
And
so your company is based here in LA?
Yep.
And so do you have a distributed team, or are they all in one office here?
We are semi-distributed because we have a little satellite office in New York, but we're mostly here all together.
And how do you spend your time, like, at the company? Like, for me, I spend a lot of time on, like, the product design and, like, the culture, some of the brand. Like, what areas do you kind of gravitate towards?
I'm sort of a generalist in that I run things. I do think culture is incredibly important, and so I spend a lot of time thinking about that and creating product, and then, as I said, like the business directionally and the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
And it's, we're a media business, we're a product business.
Right.
And I have an amazing team, these incredible women, mostly women, who inspire me so much. It's so cool. They're so amazing.
So you're not doing a lot of traveling, but you have traveled and used Airbnb a couple times.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
And I love Airbnb.
And where'd you use it?
I've used it a few places, Mexico and France. And I love it. I think, and it's funny too, because I thought Airbnb was air mattresses on the floor. Like,
and you're like, I'm not sleeping on an air mattress.
Right. And then I went to my first Airbnb, and I was like, oh, damn. This is a really nice house.
It's a nice airbed.
And I just want to thank you for conceiving of the business. I mean, it solves so many problems for so many people. It creates an amazing community.
Well, this community right here, we have literally thousands of hosts from around the world.
So great. I think it creates trust, and it creates human connection in a time where we're all so disparate and on our devices and stuff like that.
It seems like one of the things I was thinking is now more than ever, which is really cool. We have, I believe, hosts from almost and guests from almost every country in the world, and I think probably it's very possible. At this event, we have a community from more than 100 countries.
Oh, wow.
Probably even sitting in this room, I'm sure we have 30, 40, 50 countries.
That's amazing.
I'm sure we have many people from France in the audience, Brazil, Argentina, Russia.
Wow.
Romania, Germany,
Thailand.
Poland. Where? Yeah, we're going to literally name every country. I'm learning all the countries. And, on our peak night this past August, we had 1.8 million people staying in an Airbnb on that single night.
Wow.
And those people came from nearly 150 countries around the world in a single night living together. And I do think the thing I think about this inflection point is there is a movement around the world of people putting up walls, a little more nativist movement, but I think that's a very temporary thing. I think that Victor Hugo had a famous quote. He said, "All the forces in the world can't stop an idea whose time has come." And I think for our host community, what they do, opening their homes, there's nothing that can stop it. So
now you're making me tear up.
Oh yes, well that was the plan.
I've gone through so many emotions.
Yeah, this is supposed to be an emotional roller coaster. That's what we do. So maybe before we go, I'll ask a couple more questions about community. So any advice for, so you're obviously an incredibly important lifestyle curator. You make products, you kind of source a lot of interesting ideas. Any advice for hosts? I mean, a lot of hosts, they create guidebooks, they're trying to help guests. Any advice for the hosts in the audience that are trying to create memorable experiences for their guests?
I just think the reason that people choose Airbnb, well, one of the reasons is because like the idea of being in a home somewhere is, I don't know, it's less lonely, and so anything to augment that feeling of hominess.
Yeah. Any touches that you recommend people do in their homes, or things they can do?
I think it's so nice to leave something with your favorite restaurants.
Right, favorite restaurants.
Or maybe like a cookie from your favorite bakery around the corner.
Be sourcing things from local stores, local goods.
Exactly. I think just those tiny little touches make such an impact on a guest.
Right. It's we have a number of people that write handwritten notes. They'll leave a bottle of wine. They'll kind of source things. I've had a few hosts where they have a little basket and they say everything in this basket was from this neighborhood. So you'll have like food and coffees and baked goods and stuff like that. So I think one of the things that I wanted to make sure we do before we go is to just, now that we're in front of this audience, is to thank everyone in this community, because I said, one of our values is to be a host, and what we mean when we say to be a host is to care for another person. And I think that that's what everyone in this audience does. They've come from around the world, and one of the things that's really amazing is that when you meet hosts, if you're in a room of hosts, you end up being in one of the kindest rooms you could ever imagine yourself in. The people are so welcoming. So I'd like to thank all of you for attending today.
So great.
It's really amazing. And Gwyneth, you've been a total inspiration for a lot of people. I think where Goop can go is amazing, and it's amazing how you've completely thrown yourself into this. And obviously, I can, from experience, tell you, how hard it's been on our end, and I think it's been extraordinary, the work you've done. And I really want to appreciate you for coming here today.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Gwyneth Paltrow, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gwyneth. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, of course.